My mother was crying. She started to skin the rabbit preparatory to cooking it, but my father was so angry, he slammed on out of the front door and started walking up the road toward town. It was then that my mother had this vision. She had always been a strange woman in this sense, and had always had a strong intuition of things about to happen. And most of her children were the same way, I think. When something is about to happen, I can feel something, sense something. I have never known something to happen that has caught me completely off guard, except once. And that was when, years later, I discovered facts I couldn't believe about a man who, up until that discovery, I would have gladly given my life for. My father was well up the road when my mother ran screaming out onto the front porch. "Early! Early!" She screamed his name. She clutched her apron in one hand and ran down across the yard and into the road. My father turned around. He saw her. For some reason, considering how angry he had been when he left, he waved at her, but he kept on going. She told me later, my mother did, that she had a vision of my father's end. All the rest of the afternoon, she was not herself, crying and nervous and upset. She finished cooking the rabbit and put the whole thing in the warmer pot of the black stove. When my father was not back home by our bedtime, my mother hugged and clutched us, and we felt strange not knowing what to do, because she had never acted like that. I remember waking up to the sound of my mother screaming again. When I scrambled out, I saw the police in the living room. They were trying to calm her down. She had snatched on her clothes to go with them, and all of us children who were staring knew, without anyone having to say it, that something terrible had happened to our father. My mother was taken by the police to the hospital into a room where a sheet was over my father in a bed. And she wouldn't look. She was afraid to look. Probably it was wise that she didn't. My father's skull on one side was crushed in. I was told later, Negroes in Lansing had always whispered that he was attacked, and then later crossed some tracks for a streetcar to run over him. His body was cut almost in half. He lived 2.5 hours in that condition. Negroes then were stronger than they are now, especially Georgia Negroes. Negroes born in Georgia had to be strong simply to survive. It was morning when we children at home got the word that he was dead. I was 6.
Did you like this video? If you did, then you should know that these days, liking isn't real unless you push the like button. Think about it. Did you really like it if there's no digital proof?